Welcome to Law Enforcement Coaching. Meet the Coach with founder Tammy Sharp. Today we are speaking with one of our coaches, Vince Scotto. Get to know a little about Vince and see if he may be the right coach for you.
Thank you, Vin, for being here. For those that are checking this video out, the intention of this video is just to get to know one of our coaches and see if he might be the right coach for you. So with that, Vin, I'm going to just let you take it away and introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
Thank you, Tammy. Hi, I'm Vince Scotto. I spent 20 years with the New York City Police Department, and I'm still alive to talk about it. I started my career in New York City in the Greenwich Village section of New York. I got promoted in about 6.5 years and was sent to Central Harlem, where I was a supervisor for a very long time. I spent some time in a teaching capacity for about 1.5 years, teaching a course on terrorism. It was basically preparing uniformed members of service in the event that we were attacked with some sort of biological, radiological, chemical, some type of ordinance. And then I went back to patrol services. I spent a small period of time in an investigative capacity, went back to patrol services, and I spent my last 3 years in the Upper West Side of New York City. And I retired after 20 years. And then I started my life post-police.
And how has that been going for you? What have you been doing since retirement?
So I've been retired now 13 years. And the interesting thing, I struggled early on with the transition because I guess I lost sight of self, my purpose. And I really never realized how important the camaraderie piece of the police department was for me. And I still miss that. I had a lot of fun meeting a lot of different types of people that I worked with. And that part having to replace was very difficult. So it took some time. And to be quite honest, Tammy, I never realized I wanted to leave. I was good after my 20 years because I did have other interests. But the problem with that, I never really took time to decompress, to make peace with that career. And I didn't realize I needed to until things kind of started going a little sideways in my life. And I can extrapolate on that. So I really was ready to leave. And I felt I went into the career saying, I'm going to do my 20 years and I'm going to do something else after. And just as an aside, I went to college for finance, for marketing, for management, for finance. I was very interested in the equity markets, the stock market. So I envisioned myself potentially doing something like that post-police. I actually was an advisor while I was on the police department for a short period of time, but that got a little overwhelming because I was raising a family, I had 3 young children, and the police services, the law enforcement career, as you know, is very involved, can be very stressful. So I couldn't bite off more than I could chew. So that kind of got pushed to the side temporarily. I say that because I ended up post my police career getting involved with that aspect of a career, financial services. I'm technically now, I consider myself a technical analyst as it pertains to the stock market. So I'm very involved with retirement planning. I don't currently work for anyone. I work for myself as far as that's concerned. But I share all that because I had a plan, a loose plan to leave after 20 years. I knew that I had the opportunity to potentially do something in financial services because I had some of that experience. And I was also very interested in sports coaching. So I was doing those things prior to retirement. And then when it got kind of to crunch time, I was offered an opportunity to get involved in a seasonal tax practice, a tax franchise. And that's what I ended up choosing. Now, when I look back on it, I really didn't give myself time to take a breath. I kind of just jumped into this opportunity. And looking back, if I was speaking to that person or anyone that was transitioning out of a law enforcement career, take time to process what you've been through and think really clearly about where you think you might want to go. And I'm not just saying you can't jump in, but my advice, based upon my own personal experience, is really think it through. Spend some time, uh, maybe play the pros and cons, and really think about where you think you might want to land next.
Well, and I think that's great. You have all of this experience and knowledge in so many different facets. One of the things that is starting to get talked about a lot more is the retirement piece, and that a lot of people, one, they put their happiness on hold, and it's like, once I retire, then I'm going to be happy, and then they get to the other side and they're not. The camaraderie is a huge part that gets overlooked. And then you bring in that unique perspective of the financial advisement and being able to say, hey, like, let's plan a little bit. Here's some things that I learned along the way. So when clients are coming looking for you, like, you can help them in so many different facets of their life, whether it's the financial planning, the retirement, relationship, all of that different stuff. So I think that's absolutely great that you're so versatile.
Thank you. So, in terms of the relationship piece, that was part of this equation. And I know you kind of asked, and I want to just elaborate, and I'm sorry for kind of going off on a tangent. In regards to interpersonal relationships, I struggled in my first marriage and subsequently another serious relationship where that kind of was my Achilles heel. And it took me a long time to realize I would get into a serious relationship, whether it be a marriage or a serious committed relationship. And I struggled with the fact that I was this, in many ways, I had to control situations in my police world. And unfortunately, I couldn't do that in my personal life because I was dealing with different dynamics, being a dad, being a husband or a serious partner. And you and I both know people don't want to be told what to do necessarily. Yeah, we might have to control situations in our police world, and we have to take action. And sometimes we have to make decisions people don't like. That doesn't play out in our personal life. So that transition, looking back, was very, very difficult. And it created some collateral damage that really, for me, was kind of very hard, making the transition and getting through relationships that didn't last. And it really brought me down a deep, dark path. And now, when it happened the second time, I was out of my police career, so I didn't have that structure. My children are now older, and I don't have that structure of being dad because they don't need me as much. And it's like, okay, what do you do? And even though I had done some of those other things with financial planning, and I had the tax practice for a very brief period of time, I had done some coaching, sports coaching, there was still this tremendous void. And it was explained to me once, because I had gone through periods of time where I had one-on-one therapy. I was in a group setting, and I had a therapist actually tell me, you were this rock of strength that got whittled down into a pebble. And when I heard that, it really made an impact. And I realized, hey, I need to get back to who I had always been, which was a very confident, happy-go-lucky person. Somewhere along the line, I lost that person. And I don't want to blame the police career, but it took me a long time, I make a joke, to become a human being again, in the sense that when you're out there in the police world, and you know this, you have to put on the shield of armor, so to speak. You have to be a kind of a different person and take the emotion out of the job in a lot of ways. But then what happens when that uniform comes off? What happens? You can't just switch into dad right away or social bin. It doesn't just happen at a snap of a finger. So I guess I never really understood that I was going to have to go through this period of decompressing. So with that said, I wasn't prepared. I come from a generation, people don't talk about their feelings. Being a male in a predominantly male profession in police services, you don't really talk about your feelings and your problems and your issues. And that's unfortunate. I know it's changing now. And that's kind of where I ended up being affiliated with your company, Law Enforcement Coaching. I love working with other officers, men or women, retired or active, to really be a person that could offer clarity based upon my own experience, my own trajectory. I don't have all the answers, but I'm a little bit further along in my journey where I'm able to impart some wisdom based upon the fact I walked in their shoes. I was out there in the field, I wore the uniform, and I can't begin to tell you, Tammy, it's rewarding on such a level where I feel working with people, I learn from them. It's therapeutic and helpful for me. And that I ever make it about me. If I'm asked about my own personal situation, I'm more than happy to share that. And I feel there's power in that. And that's one of the other pieces that I feel we could give back, that we are humble, that we are empathetic, that we use our own vulnerability to help others. And that's kind of what brought me around full circle.
I love that you said that you don't have all the answers, but you've been through some stuff and you're a few steps ahead of someone else, and you have the heart to want to help others people. And that's the whole thing. Everybody gets, into the profession, whether it's law enforcement, first responder, or coaching or wellness, like we all want to be of service. We want to help people. And if we could all wave a magic wand and everybody just gets along, we're all happy, like yay, but that's not the reality. So with all of that said, real quick, who is your ideal client? Like, who would you love to work with that would just light you up and bring you joy to work with?
So it's twofold. And I see myself in the niche of helping people while they're still active set themselves up better financially, being more aware of the options they might have within their department, whether it be retirement planning, things they can do outside of that to have those conversations. And then obviously the transition after the police career as far as what's next. But then there's another strong pull towards working with people that are really looking for that sense of purpose, not only while they are active, but post their career. Because while you're active, it's very easy to become cynical and jaded. And I learned that wasn't a good thing when I allowed myself to go down that road, because it affected me professionally. But more importantly, it affected me personally, because there was this built up anger and frustration with some of the things I had no control over. And it took me a long time to learn some coping skills and some resiliency ways of handling the stressful job. I learned how to journal. I learned some meditation components, yoga. Now that doesn't work for everyone, but these are some of the things that I'm willing to discuss and share my experience and at least have those conversations. So even though I love the finance piece, I love talking about what's behind the curtain. I love to be able to use storytelling sometimes if it's warranted. I write these funny police stories based upon my experience. And I found when I've shared them with colleagues and even acquaintances or strangers, and it could be non-police personnel, you use laughter to kind of break down the wall of silence, if you will. And then we open up the door to real conversation, and we let our guard down because there's a sense, this thread of comfort, of understanding, of camaraderie. I feel I'm able to do that. I have this unique way I feel of doing that. So I like really getting deep in the woods and being available to listen to what's really going on. Sorry for being long-winded. I get excited. I get passionate about this stuff when I think about it.
No, I love that. And we appreciate your passion and it comes through. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. We're going to keep this one super brief, but if you're watching this video and you think that this might be the right coach for you, you can go to Vin's profile, find his schedule, book a session, and